Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Now in this video is a new kind of video. It's the Red review. We'll be talking about some big things in this particular episode. We'll be doing a few hot takes, a few questions, a bit of transfer news, talking about issues defensively, will Ugarte start, Erik ten Hag future, my thoughts on the 2024-25 squad, as well as some interesting other bits as well. So please, this might be a bit of a long video, so please do leave a like, comment and subscribe. We're only 5 subscribers now away from 2,200. So the first topic we're going to talk about is a bit of transfer news. Now listen, the transfer window obviously closed last week. And listen, it was a very, very good window. But yeah, I think Manchester United, apparently Antony is going to be going, reports that Antony will be going to Newcastle. That's something that I want to be talking about in today's episode. I mean, it's a good first episode to start off by talking about some big Manchester United news. So it's coming in from Team Talk. Newcastle, mind-boggling move for Manchester United flop as Radcliffe sets new price. I mean, I think that's a bit of a damning headline, but Newcastle United weighing up a crazy suit for struggling Manchester United winger Antony. Reports surprisingly being claimed Newcastle have been on the hunt for a new right winger for several months. Miguel Almiron was expected to leave during the summer transfer window amid interest from the MLS and the Saudis, but he ultimately ended up staying at St James's Park. Newcastle boss Eddie Howe can currently play Almiron or Jacob Murphy on the right flank, while usual left wing Anthony Gordon can also operate there if needed. But Howe wants Newcastle's chiefs to sign a true right-sided forward who is young and can add extra dynamism to the Magpies' attack with Almiron 30 and Murphy 29. Newcastle top target for the position Anthony Elanga of Nottingham Forest. After failed to land this summer, Howe side are ready to return to a new bid with the winter window gets underway. But Newcastle also taking a look at alternatives in approach for Elanga. Now, according to a shock report from Court Offside, the top 4 hopefuls have identified Manchester United flop Antony as a backup target. Howe thinks the Brazilian has a good ability and would add a valuable addition to his squad despite the player's struggle at Old Trafford. Antony would be open to a switch to the North if Newcastle came calling too. It has previously been suggested that Manchester United will accept offers of £25 million for the wide man, but the report has that Manchester United chief Sir Jim Ratcliffe now wants £14 million before letting him leave. A transfer of £40 million will see the Red Devils take a massive, obviously, financial hit on Antony, as they originally paid a whopping £82 million from him in the summer of 2022. Obviously, Newcastle fans are probably disappointed if they got Antony after chasing Elanga. Antony has not even got close to justifying his price tag at United. He registered just 3 goals and 2 assists in 38 matches last season. 24-year-old has obviously fallen down the pecking order despite Erik ten Hag knowing him very well from their time at Ajax. In mid-competition for places from Alejandro Garnacho and Diallo, Antony just made 1 substitute appearance so far this season against Brighton. So listen, for me, this would be perfect. United getting £40 million for Antony would be absolutely brilliant. Now, do I think this will happen? Absolutely no chance. I think it is a bit of a nonsense move. I mean, did Howe actually say or think that about Antony? He would be a great addition. He probably would be. But what he's proved for Manchester United is shocking, and I would absolutely love it if they got rid of him. If United could get 40 million, 25 million, I would absolutely take it. Like, genuinely, he's on 200k a week. He doesn't play at all. Doesn't add any quality. He's poor on the ball. Lack of effort on the pitch. At times, listen, he's a passionate player. And he puts it all on the pitch. But does he show enough for Manchester United from game to game? Absolutely not. And ultimately, that is a huge worry for me. I think you look at what Erik ten Hag has kind of done for Antony, signing him for Manchester United. It's a big, big move to get him to the football club in the first place. And I don't think he's really repaid any of his price tag at all. And I think what the article really said there was absolutely correct. And Newcastle, they probably need him, to be honest with you, in their team, because Antony maybe could be a winger that suits Newcastle. They play some high-pressing football. But yeah, honestly, I think Manchester United should be considering offers for Antony. I think this Newcastle bid and this Newcastle move will be absolutely fantastic for all parties involved. I think you look at what Antony can offer. As I said, it's very, very, very slim. And ultimately, it's not enough for a Manchester United team hopefully challenging for the big major honours. And listen, for me, for him to go to Newcastle will be really, really important for what this club means and what this club needs to do at this current moment. So let's see what happens. But yeah, for me, I think that would be fantastic. And listen, it's coming in from United. Yeah, let's honestly see what happens. But yeah, Antony for me should leave. Let me know your thoughts now. But yeah, moving on swiftly, the next thing I want to discuss is the Ugarte situation, and will and should he start Manchester United's game against Southampton. Now listen, Ugarte, he had 80 minutes the other day against Paraguay in a kind of friendly game for the kind of international break. And obviously Eric Ten Hag has previously stated that he could need up to a month to get fitness. Obviously Manuel Ugarte's had no pre-season, so he is lacking fitness. But ultimately for me, if he's playing 80 minutes against Paraguay, and people are saying he didn't look on it, obviously I didn't watch the game, but I've seen all the reaction and kind of clips on Twitter. It is certainly interesting to see what happens with the Ugarte situation. I'll give you my opinion, and then obviously we move the segment on. But ultimately it's interesting because you look at the options we have to play in that midfield game against Southampton. We've got Casemiro, Collier, and Ugarte. He is an option, and whether, listen, we know what Eric Ten Hag has previously done with signings. He's bought him in late. I mean, I remember when we bought Casemiro a couple of years ago, McTominay started the first 4 games when Casemiro signed, and then it was after, I think, McTominay made a mistake or he lost the game, he changed it. So listen, for me, what would I do? I think for me, Ugarte has to start. Ugarte's performance can't be any worse than Casemiro played in that game, and I go to as far to say I'd rather start Toby Collier than Casemiro in that midfield. Ultimately, what Collier did in those 45 minutes or 50 minutes with additional time against Liverpool was really, really good. Yes, he made mistakes and there was huge gaps in midfield, but ultimately for me, you look at what Collier can bring. It's way, way better than what Casemiro can. So for me, I would have to start Collier in that midfield. But on the Ugarte situation, I think he should be and must be fit because, as I said, yes, he's had no pre-season. And ultimately as well, you could, like, I think Kobbie Mainoo also needs a rest. He's playing numerous games. He's playing for England in games. Like, the guy does need rest. And ultimately, maybe Ugarte starts next to Casemiro. Maybe something like that. But ultimately, for me, I want to see Ugarte start. I think what we need in that number 6, yes, is against Southampton. And it'd be a very, very good game to ease yourself into. It's away from home, but no doubt it's a very, very good game for Ugarte to get into. And I think for me, the overall general opinion is to start him because we need him to replace Casemiro. And I think maybe in a game like this, you could see Ugarte and maybe a Toby Collier. Maybe that's something that could work. I mean, we certainly got Europa League games where you can test that and try that out. But ultimately for me, it's all about getting that balance and getting that right kind of mentality in that midfield. And the midfield has been an issue. It has been a big issue and something that needs to be solved. And I think bringing in Ugarte will massively help that dynamic in midfield. And someone did put a comment in one of the videos about Ugarte, and I did respond to it. I'm not going to read it out now, but shout out to them. Listen, I think Ugarte for me, listen, he's going to get one more game under his belt, I think, with Uruguay. I think for me, we have to play him. I think we need his technical abilities and we need his qualities in a game like this. You look at what we've been missing in that midfield, that dynamism, that real sort of cutting edge in that midfield where we need to kind of take. And I think Ugarte can add it. He's great on the ball, centre of gravity, and it'll be a nice opportunity for the fans to kind of get a glimpse of him. Obviously, when we signed him and unveiled him against Liverpool, we didn't see him because he didn't play the game. He wasn't in the squad. Ultimately, this would be a brilliant opportunity for him to get some minutes And you look at his stats, he's got one of the best stats in the world for ball recoveries, carrying the ball. Like, he is a very, very good midfielder. And I think you look at what Southampton and the threat that Southampton offer, Ugarte joining this United team would be, and coming into this team, it'd make a huge difference compared to what Casemiro has offered and has previously shown. But listen, let me know your thoughts. It's all about their opinion. Everyone's going to have a different opinion. People, I can understand the other side of the story. But people say, don't start Ugarte. He might not be ready. He might pick up an injury. And I do see that as well. There's always a risk starting to play. He might not be 100% match fit. And that's something that you have to take into consideration, in my humble opinion. But for me, it's all about, what do we need in this game? We've already lost 2 of our 3 first Premier League games. And the third Premier League game which we lost was all down to the midfield. And listen, you have to look at Casemiro and Kobbie Mainoo. Mainoo did make a mistake, but I think it's the structure in midfield that is massively costing us. And I don't think Ugarte can solve that. We've seen in games there's huge gaps between the midfield and the attack and the defence. Like, we need to be coherent and together, cahoots, like organised. Not too much gap with players where there's 1-2 passes and your whole defence has been exploited ultimately. And that's something that ultimately Erik ten Hag needs to try and solve. Listen, you could put any player there, one of the best midfield. You could put Modric, Rodri. I think with the way that we play, is way too open. And it ain't gonna work for us. So that's why for me, listen, on Ugarte, I think he can add a lot to this United midfield. I think his pace, his power and his quality will be great. But let's not make out like this will, like, there's a lot of pressure on Ugarte, and he might not hit the ground running straight away. He might make a mistake, he might make a poor tackle, but we have to give it time. We have to give it that time to kind of work out, because ultimately Ugarte is a player who's, as I said, got a lot of pressure, but we know we can deliver the pressure. He said he's ready to fight. We've seen what he said in his interview why he joined Manchester United and much more. For me, yeah, Ugarte will start. Will he start? That's a wholly different scenario. We see what Erik ten Hag says ahead of the game against Southampton, because it will be interesting to see. He may not even be in the squad, but for me, it's absolutely imperative that if he doesn't start, he at least gets 20-25 minutes, because we need to see him. Listen, Casemiro's still going to play games for us. I understand that. He's got 2 years left on his deal and will be at this football club. But for me, Casemiro is a huge liability. And we can't afford to drop any more points. Obviously, we will in the course of the season. But at this current moment, you have to go into this game wanting to win. And for me, having Ugarte just makes us a little bit stronger. But let's see what happens. It is disappointing what Erik ten Hag has kind of done, or Manchester United making this deal. But yeah, that is all of it on the kind of the Ugarte section. I'm going to move on now, talking about Luke Shaw. Now, Luke Shaw is another big issue. The left-back issue has been a problem for Man United now for the last couple of seasons. Listen, Luke Shaw's quality is fantastic. It's one of the best in the world at times, but the injury is massive. The injury concerns. Obviously, he had that double leg break in 2015. Luke Shaw is one of the best left backs on this day, but he doesn't have that day enough. And with the constant injuries that he's getting, the reoccurring muscle injuries, keeping him out for a long period of time. He went to the Euros with England, played a game, got injured, not fit for Manchester United now. For me, it's a huge concern, as well as Malacia, another left back at United, someone who's again very, very injury prone. For me, the left back situation is very, very interesting, because I thought United would have got out and got one. I think it is kind of a priority position. Look at who we have now. I mean, we are really just relying on Delo and kind of Madwari for the fullback position. Yes, we've got young Harry and Mass. And he's someone who can get minutes in Europa League, maybe in the Carabao Cup and stuff, to give Delo kind of rest, because he's playing a lot of football. When talking about Luke Shaw though, like, what do we do with him? He's been at the club now 10 years. He's got a couple of years left on his deal. not many clubs will probably be interested in signing him. Obviously, all he knows is Manchester United joined with Southampton. He's a quality left back. Will many clubs be interested in signing him? He's what, 27 now, 28. Will clubs be interested in signing an injury-prone left back who's very, very good on his day? And that's something United have kind of taken the risk. I think it's obvious to see the qualities Luke Shaw has when he's on the pitch for us. He's a real talented player. He gets on the ball. He's quality. He's quick on the ball, defensively, versatility. He suits the Eric Ten Hag system really, really well. And a player who's really, really grown under Ten Hag. I think in that season, I think it was 21-22, he had a really, really solid season. Then he obviously had the Euros prior to that, which was really, really good. It's just the last season, he barely played any games and was constantly injured. This season, again, injured until, I think, after this international break. So hopefully he'll be back in that squad for the game against Southampton. But really, and should he start? Because you look at it, Delo, for me, deserves to start. Mazraoui as well. Another player who's done so well defensively for us. Should he start? And for me, based on merit, they do deserve to start. And I think there's going to be games, maybe that game against Barnsley, where Luke Shaw can earn his place back, and maybe get a few minutes into the game. But based on merit, you have to give Delo and Mazraoui games. But honestly, Luke Shaw, it is sad to see the decline and how the constant injuries have kind of affected him. As I said, he's not going to get any younger, and he is picking up these occurring muscle injuries. I thought it wouldn't be a problem this season, but again, the best type of ability is availability, and ultimately that's the best ability any player can have. You look at some of the best players we've had at United. Varane, a perfect example, one of the best defenders on his day, but constantly injured and ultimately not playing most of your games as well. We've had it in all around the pitch. We've had it in attack with Antony Martial, quality player, but too injury prone. Edison Cavani, another one. You just can't rely on these players because they'd be into the team for 3 games and then disappear, so you can't really build a foundation with them. And ultimately, that's what we're seeing with Luke Shaw. We'll have him in the game for maybe, we have him in the team for maybe 2-3 games, and then he'll be out injured again. And then ultimately, all the progress that we had, we just have to stick another player there. I think that sort of profile though that Luke Shaw has, the left centre back ability, the left back ability, is ultimately what Eric Ten Hag wants in a system. And you can see in Eric Ten Hag's first season, the first 3, the most important players were Martinez, Luke Shaw and Casemiro. They were one of the most 3 important players, among others as well, but they were the 3 who were so key to the system. The left centre back who can come out, build from the back. The left back who's obviously key on transition and attack. And obviously the holding midfielder whose job is absolutely imperative. And you look at that, Casemiro, he's had an absolute decline. Luke Shaw was out injured for the most of last season, and Lisandro Martinez too. So that's probably why Eric Ten Hag's system did kind of fail. I mean, it is apparent kind of and obvious to say you shouldn't really be relying on 3 players for your system, but they are 3 important players nonetheless, and every team has important players. You look at City, without Haaland, without, I would say, Rodri, they're not the same team that they are, and you can see that. So Arsenal as well, I think Saliba, Odegaard for them makes 2 the difference makers, and ultimately they're the players that they have. So United haven't been at their best, and we can see it's apparent. But on the left back situation, what do we actually do going forward? Do we sell Luke Shaw? Do we sell I think, listen, they both say the season at the club, see what their availability situation is. On Malacia, we don't know when he's going to be back, whether that's weeks, months. Porto could be near to Christmas time. But another one, he's a guy who hasn't played football for over a year now. His last appearance was, I think, 20-something of August last year for United. He's had a very tough time of it. And these is a very, very bad injury. His career-ending, probably, for the time that he's been out. And listen, Malacia was a very, very good player when he came in. He gave great competition for Luke Shaw. But can he play regular game time for us? Not anymore, I don't think so. Because, listen, injuries like that, they could be obviously really, really challenging. So, listen, I don't think that could happen. But the left-back situation is very, very interesting. I think, listen, if you look at ideal replacements to replace Luke Shaw, and you look at a left-back that can come in, I think, as I said, Theo Hernandez, AC Milan, fantastic player. Gutierrez at Girona. I like the look of Milos Kerkez as well. Mark Cucurella, someone who's been touted. And there's also going to be other options that, for me, Manchester United should not go near. The Ben Chilwells, Marcos Alonso's, these sort of players. But there are definitely very, very good left-backs out there for Manchester United who can really certain and fit the role that United need. Then the only thing with Luke Shaw is the injuries, and can United afford to get, and can Manchester United get rid of a player who's on, I think it's like 200k a week. I'll check it now. I'll check what wage Luke Shaw is on our favourite website, Apology. Let's see, Manchester United wages. He's going to be on a lot of money though, isn't it, nonetheless. Luke Shaw is on, for Manchester United, 150 grand a week, 7.8 mil a year. He's got a contract until June 2027, so he's got 3 years left on his deal. Like, honestly, what do we do? Do we get rid of him? How much will you get for him? I think for definitely Luke Shaw, you're approaching 20-25 million pound. You have to understand he's been a player who's been at United for 10 years. Will be relatively hard to shift. I don't really know many clubs interested in signing a left back, so it's either that or, listen, United are not going to release him, so we probably will be stuck with him. On Malacia, we'll have to see what the situation is. I don't think he'll play regular game time for us though again, and I would maybe looking at sales. He's a player that you could sell, but how much money would you get for him? A player who's been out of action for a year now. You probably won't get anything more than maybe 15 mil for him. So ultimately the left back situation is interesting. I think it's perfect to kind of talk about in this sort of videos, the red review, because it is an overall review of United, and ultimately the left back has been a position which we have struggled massively with. Listen, Delo at this current moment is doing a very, very good job there. He's putting in a shift. He looks sharp there. Business best position. I think we'd look better as well with Delo on the right hand side. It's all about that balance, and I do think we need a left-footed player. I've given my option on who I would like to come into the team. I think it's a big season as well for Harry Amass. Harry Amass for me is a fantastic player with potential, and that's the big word there, potential. There's a huge risk on him in these games. I think maybe Barnsley, FC Twente, when we play them, it'd be good, nice opportunities for him, because he does certainly look ready. We've seen what he can offer in pre-season. He does look like a real prospect and a Luke Shaw sort of regen. So listen, for me, I think it'd be good to get him into the team. I think he's a quality player, but again, he's too early, could be a huge risk. And listen, he's 17 years of age. We need established players, and we know we've seen it with Mainu coming at 18, Garnacho as well, and over the years with our history at the club. But this is totally different. This is high-level Premier League football now, and I'm not saying he won't be ready for it. I'm sure he will be. The glimpses that he's shown so far, he's got a good link up with Rashford. I think we need a left-back who's going to have a strong relationship with the winger, whether that be Rashford, Garnacho or someone else. It's balanced, and it's all about getting up the pitch. But that is it on the left-back situation. I have talked a bit for quite long. I'm going to move on to the next segment now. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. I'll move on now. So then, United versus Southampton's obviously coming up. And it's a big game. It's our first game after the international break. A game we should be winning. I think Southampton, they're a poor team. They haven't won a game so far in the Premier League. This is not the preview, by the way. This is just going to be me overview on the game. We'll do the preview at some point. But for me, this is the game we should be winning. And I'm going through my predicted team quickly on who should start and what Erik ten Hag must do and the tactics sort of thing. Listen, this is a massive game. It's a game United, as I said, should be winning. I think Erik ten Hag can rotate in this game, and it's so important ten Hag rotates. I mean, he can't afford to be playing his regular first team players every single game, because they pick up injuries. It's just the way that it works. And for me, certain players have to get rested. You look at kind of, well, not maybe in this game, maybe in the Barnsley game, but I ultimately think this game against Southampton is a big game for us to kind of show what we can do. As I said, after losing 2 or 3 games, we're 14th in the Premier League, they're away from home. It will be a tough place to go, but Southampton ain't a good team. That's based on points this season, and I think with the quality on paper, United should be looking to win this game. And you look at the team, the threats that we can offer. like, Eric Ten Hag has got a few dilemmas going into every game. I think the winger situation is very, very interesting. Ahmad Garnacho, Rashford, who starts there. The striker situation, we're hoping Rasmus Højlund would be back for this game. Who starts in that? Xerxes, as well. What position is for him? Lenny Euro, hopefully he's obviously off his crutch. So hopefully he'll be back into first team training. Ugarte, another big one. De Ligt, does he start? So yeah, let's see what happens. But this game is a big game. I'm so happy to see United back in action. Listen, we played 3 games and the international break is really frustrating. But ultimately for me, this season's massive for Ten Hag. And listen, hopefully he's had some time to work with the players that have not been in international duty, the Marcus Rashfords of this world, and really some other players as well. I think most of them have, to be fair. There won't be many still like Carrington, but hopefully he's had a lot of time to think about what he needs to do. I think the midfield situation is very, very interesting. But you guys are here for the predicted team, so let me talk about it. It'll obviously be Onana in goal. He's had a very questionable season for United. I'll talk about that in a bit, but he's had a very questionable season for us. And I think, listen, while he's a decent player, he also is a liability. He has, I think, one of the worst save percentage in the league. I know we did buy him for his distribution to play out from the back. We haven't really seen him utilise that yet to the full ability. I think, yes, at times his distribution has been good, but at times he's been really, really poor. It's very, very inconsistent. His shot stopping has been a bit mediocre at times. But yeah, he will start this game. Right back, Mazraoui. Left back, Delo. They have to play there. I did just talk about the left back situation to check that part out. Listen, the left back situation is interesting. It would have to be Mazraoui. It would have to be Delo, Mazraoui right back. Centre backs, De Ligt, Martinez. They have to start for me. Listen, I know Maguire, he'll probably have a good game for England if he plays for them, and he is a decent player, but listen, Martinez and De Ligt should be our starting pairing going forward, and when Euro comes back, hopefully he'll a player who gives them contention. But it's all about rotation. I think De Ligt and Martinez, second game in a row, they looked okay against Liverpool. I think De Ligt did look really, really sharp. So I'd have him in the team. Into midfield, for me, I would start Ugarte. I don't think Eric Ten Hag will. I think he needs to, just for the balance of that midfield. That midfield has looked gapingly open, huge gaps, not really much cohesion. And I think having Ugarte in there will massively help us. Number 8 will obviously Kobbie Mainoo. I'd like to see Kobbie Mainoo maybe get a rest in the cup game, but I think we do need him in this Premier League game, and I think his quality is fantastic. Number 10, Bruno, our captain. A leader's performance by him. People are questioning his performance against Liverpool. I don't think it was the greatest, but I don't think many of the players played great. But the main reason why he would get all the kind of scrutiny was because he is the captain, and it wasn't really a captain's performance by him, but he would be in my number 10 for me. Off the right would obviously be Amad Diallo. I think, look, he came on that game against Liverpool, had the most touches in the box, and he only played for 20 minutes, so he's a threat. He just looks like a constant threat all the time. As well as another player that I would have. And up front I would have Xerxes. I think Højlund's not quite ready and will not be ready for this game. And off the left will be Marcus Rashford. But yeah, this is going to be a quick segment, a quick video on the predicted team. Let me know your thoughts. Now let's go on to the next segment. Thank you for watching. This has been the first episode. Sorry it's been a bit all over the place, but some very, very interesting topic covered nonetheless. Stay tuned every Saturday, 7 PM for a new video. Thank you for watching. Hope you did enjoy. Stay tuned. Thank you for watching. Please do subscribe on your way out. Peace.